Egypt's top appeals court has acquitted former President Hosni Mubarak of involvement in the killing of protesters during the 2011 uprising. The 88-year-old was originally sentenced to life in prison for his role in inciting violence during the 18-day revolt in which hundreds of demonstrators died. Mubarak has long maintained his innocence in the case. Well, Dalia Fahmy joins us now to talk more about this. She's an associate professor of political science at the Long Island University and a senior fellow for the Center for Global Policy, joining us via Skype from New Jersey. Let me ask you, first of all, what do you make of this judgment? What does it say about Hosni Mubarak and his role during the revolution?
Well, unfortunately, it's not a surprise. The initial trial was about the death of 300 civilians, and when really 900 people were killed in the initial 18-day protest. This is a trial that has been in the court since 2012, has been ruled, appealed, and now is really culminating in the end of this, the Court of Cassation saying that he's been vindicated in a sense, which really means that if we look at the judiciary in Egypt, the head of the Court of Cassation is a political appointee. So it calls into question the independence of the judiciary, and is this just a political arm of the executive? Now, when the families of those that were killed were calling for an investigation, they and the upgrade of the charges to murder against Mubarak, they also wanted to extend it to the person who was the head of the military intelligence. The head of the military intelligence at the time was Sisi, the current president. And so these are not disconnected, they are actually connected. And so when we think about what the initial calls for the revolution were, of democracy, good governance, transparency, and accountability, this seems to be the final nail in the coffin against the revolutionary narrative of it's not just politics as usual, but those that were held accountable for the deaths during the revolution have now all been vindicated, acquitted, or have time served.
How do you imagine this judgment is going to be received by the public broadly in Egypt?
Well, unfortunately, the current regime has made suppression part of the status quo. So it's not clear that the public would be responding because the current regime is actually guilty of much more egregious acts. There are 50,000 political prisoners in Egypt. The new constitution really curtails any limits, any freedoms, any press freedoms, NGO freedoms. And so it's not clear that the public would necessarily respond other than this has become business as usual. Much of the Mubarak-era leaders and crony capitalists are now all out of prison. And so this will be seen as not a real surprise, unfortunately.
Dalia Fahmy, professor of political science at Long Island University, very many thanks for your time.